And it's time to pass to the section of the questions. If you would like to ask something, maybe it's more practical if I ask you to make questions to specific uh, uh, people who talked during this last section, starting with Professor Tsirigotis' presentation. Is anyone who would like to ask Professor Tsirigotis something?
There are some questions on the chat. If you have a look at it, you will see some questions that have been made during the talks. May I ask something?
Yes, of course.
We've had very nice discussions and presentations about the theater of the past and the future. Unfortunately, the presentation by Mr. Panourios was in Greek, and I am sorry that Michael was not able to understand the lecture, but he understood the slides. Now, I wonder if arts, and in particular theater, are able to support mankind to face the future, the unknown future. I don't know if anybody can answer that. Maybe Mr. Panourios will can answer. One can give him, or he can give us his thoughts. Is Mr. Panourios there?
Hello, hello again.
Hello,
hello. Yes. What I'm going to say about this, Mr. Kalokerinos. If theater
can support mankind to face the unknown future.
I think yes. In the first disciplinary conference, I have speak about theater, artificial intelligence and theater in the 21st century. And I have some thoughts about this. Theater can't stop. Theater concerns with the journey to an inner and invisible human land, where all our thoughts, emotions, feelings, imagination, dreams, fantasies, secrets, all are, these themselves are invisible. And this constitutes oneself. All these are the theater world. Theater explores the invisible, relies on the invisible as it creates emotions. It's a method of producing emotions which are experienced by a group of people at the same time, the audience, the spectators. So theater is the art of now. And in the future, I can't see androids to play theater.
But may I say something?
Yes.
Mr. Kalokerinos. May I say something?
Yes.
The same question we asked for the theater to say something about the future. Is the same is from democracy, where Mr. Chirigotti spoke.
Yes.
It's the same question. Can we see democracy in the future? How can we see the theater in the future? When we speak that way, we usually say that what is the theater, what is democracy, and we actually distinguish between Greek democracy against all the others, in some like that. If you follow my ideas, what I was saying before, you have to ask, if you want to answer this question, you have to ask, what is the unique in the theater and what is the unique in democracy? What makes the theater unique? And what makes democracy unique? This is the first, because theater is not like cinema. It's a kind of art in its own. What makes the theater unique is the actor. There is no theater without actor. Theater is not cinema. What makes cinema unique is the camera and the director, because you can have theater without director, but you cannot have theater without the actor. You can even have theater without scenario, it's like the commedia dell'arte in the Middle Ages. It's just the actor. So the future for the theater, and I pose this question, I answer, and it's a question to you. The theater is to focus on the actor, and that means to focus on dramaturgy in his body, in his expression, than what is happening in the last century, that the theater is a mere recitation, is a narration. Theater does not tell stories. It's not to say stories, but theater is to act. It's like Aristotle, poetics. It's the future for the theater, in order to express what is coming, is to focus on dramaturgy than mere narratives, for my opinion. And in that sense, you have then to question the second. What is the conflict in the theater? The conflicting issue in the theater is that there is a distinction between the one who plays, the actor, and the one who is the viewer. From that point of view, maybe life is like the theater, but theater is not life. Because in theater, the actor knows what he is playing. And in theater, it's like a preparation for life, because the real cost is life. And theater is a preparation for life, because in the theater, we have this distinction between the viewer and the one who is acting. And this is a conflicting aspect in the middle of the theater, in the hardcore, that we have to accept it if we want to go further. And then you can see what is the same happens in democracy. There is also a hardcore, a main issue in democracy. What is the unique in democracy? For instance, in Greek democracy, the issue is the draw. All people were selected, among others. Everybody could do by drawing. In the Western democracy is the human right. What is the democracy? How can we face the global world? We have to promote the Greek paradigm or the Western paradigm. It doesn't work. We have to see the unique in democracy, which is the participation, not the representation. If we want to have democracy, we have to have participation. And there is a conflicting aspect inside democracy in itself. And the conflict is between one and many. And we have to come over this idea, one, many, and to go beyond. This is for a while, so somebody can speak, but I could go further. But
I think that Michael wants to say something.
Yes, there is something. There are two questions, Michael and Evangelia. Michael, please. Would you like to
just very briefly. So I'm being a theologian, speaking about all these things makes me the amateur, right? So now I'm going to speak about the theater very amateurishly. As far as my understanding is I've read, I think it was Victor Turner about that, the idea between facing the liminal and simulating that, facing the liminoid, right? They're not really liminal, the thing that does not cross the border, or as you just pointed out, the real price is life. And if we play the theater, or if the actors play theater, they simulate that. They play as though they're doing life, but they don't die, right? They play that thing. In space exploration, there's a similar thing. It's called analog astronaut missions. People simulate astronaut missions, and alluding to what was just being said about the theater. So there's actors. They do the astronaut part, and they simulate science. But sometimes they do real science while they're simulating. And sometimes they have findings that are from the inner core of the astronauts. A lot of that is about the psychology of a mission. So there's this complete connection to theatrical performances in there. You basically simulate something that you want to do for real without risking your life in the way you will in the future. And that gives you a greater insight in what the future may hold. And it's not, as you just said, it's not cinema, it's theater, because it relies on the body, it relies on the performer, and it gives insight into the real interactions between the actors much more than usually, in my experience, is planned for in those missions. That would be my contribution. Not a question. Oh, I did it. Not a question, much more of a comment. I'm sorry about that.
And there is, thank you so much. And there is Evangelia's question as well. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you.
Unmute.
Okay, hello to everyone. Hello to everyone again. Okay.
Hello.
Thank you for letting me say.
When
First,
Evangelia comes back, I would like to make another question to Professor Grekas and to Michael.
okay.
I'm glad to see a colleague from the University of Athens here now, but let's do it after Evangelia connects.
Okay. So, adding on what Professor Kostyletos aforementioned, so theater has as a prerequisite the audience. So, theater is supporting democracy, because you need the audience. Just like democracy is one to the many, you need to have the entities all together. So you need to have one talking to the many, and the many are interrelated back to the one, and vice versa, and in many multiple ways. So there is a similarity between those two things. That's just an opinion, okay? And as far as Mr. Otis is concerned, he has elaborated a lot of things. Among those was that personal freedom matches autonomy, and then the socio-political freedom is matched with the notion of right. So he said that took place during the phase of transition from the despotic to the anthropocentric cosmos system. Now, my question and opinion and question as well is that we have seen a detachment from ourselves and a detachment from the specific heteron, like Plato says, in the past years. And that has to do with our labor, our fast way of living. There is no inter-analysis, so I don't know if I'm not sure whether we have moved towards to the anthropocentric cosmos system, but hopefully we will gain and more ways to do this, to be able to be anthropocentric. So this is my question also. Do you think we have gone towards this anthropocentric? And because many other notions were here concerning regarding the artificial intelligence and the virtual reality, which I'm not sure how is it going to intervene between this tafton, this relation to ourselves, or is it going to further detach us from ourselves and from the heteron? Who is the heteron? Those are new things to be elaborated. I don't know if I've said too many things together and I've mixed them somehow, but this is actually my question opinion. Thank you.
And now, Professor Kalokerinos, you said that you would like to go on with questions or comments, please.
We had some very interesting presentation yesterday and today about space exploration, space inhabitation by humans, and artificial intelligence, which are very new for us. Now, I wonder, and my question goes to Professor Grekas and Michael. I cannot pronounce your name properly, your surname. Will this affect our religion, our ethics, our philosophy? And how much is our life, which we know now, how much is it going to change when we go to space? This is for our priest and for Michael.
Can I start? Yes. Okay, thank you. The human-centric artificial intelligence maybe is connected with the exploration of the universe, of the space. So the progressive of the artificial intelligence try to be quite familiar with the man, with the human, with the humanity. So every day the artificial intelligence research try to create an environment with ethical algorithms. So to adapt the artificial intelligence with the mind of the man, the values, and in some cases with a religion. But with religion, it's not so simple, because some artificial intelligence researchers or academics give another interpretation about how can the artificial intelligence related with a religion, one specific religion, with Christianity, Judaism, Muslims, and others. So, at my book about artificial intelligence, maybe we need the concept of God. The God is someone who knows more than men or the humanity. If you see the God with this perspective, maybe we pass to an algorithm or IT agnosticism. So it's very important to see how to interact. The interaction is the key for me. Is the key word. The interaction between the human, the values, the daily life, the way of interaction, and how we will educate the artificial intelligence system, and how the man, the humanity, educated to use the artificial intelligence. This is one quite important thing. So all the procedure is in progressive, and every day you can add and we can build for the right using of artificial intelligence systems in the Earth or on the space? Thank you.
May I make a comment, please?
Yes, of course.
Regarding to what said by Priest Grekas, I have to say that it's very difficult to write a code regarding beliefs, regarding God. This is the problem. You cannot create the proper node, you mean bond, related to other parts of the code. This is the problem. That's why we cannot represent this relationship. That's why we are creating a mechanic relationship within the artificial intelligence. This is the problem. And when we are making teams in the framework of a program, within each team, we have people from many sciences. One computer science scientist cannot interpret what a priest or a theologist say to him. This is the problem.
But so, may I say something?
Can we, Mr. Harokopoulos, can we give
Yes.
Michael?
Just briefly. So there's research out there concerning what would happen to religions if we met extraterrestrial intelligent life, and I think the same that the outcome would be the same for religion space exploration. So there's Ted Peters did this survey on different religious groups on how would their religion change if we found definite proof of extraterrestrial intelligence. And this is the short answer, okay? My religion wouldn't change, all the others would change. And I think that would be the first reaction of religious people to going to outer space. I've shown you that with some examples from astronauts. My religion is compatible with space. I can do my ritual in outer space. I can pray the way I do on Earth in outer space, and so on. But in the long term, the real question is what happens to humanity if we lose connection to our home planet, right? If we step outside of creation, I do not believe that creation ends with the solar system or with the atmosphere of Earth, right? Creation includes the cosmos, but once we leave that home planet, we also leave all the religiously significant places behind. Jerusalem will not be on Mars. There won't be pilgrimage sites that we have on Earth on Mars. There will need to be different sites. So I think the perspective for religion and for everyday religious life in outer space will vastly change. But that won't take 1 or 2 generations. That will take 20, 30, 40. And maybe you could argue that religions that have a strong hierarchy have an advantage there. But on the other hand, how does hierarchy change in human space? So it's basically boils down to all these sociological questions of how do you have religious institutions within society. But to go back to that one point, I think which is embodied in this temple that I showed you on the south pole of the moon, not being able to look at planet Earth and the cradle of humanity anymore, and having to find a new way, that will definitely pose a challenge for religion. Just look at the beginning of the Bible. God created the heavens and the earth, and then God put 2 lights on the firmament of the heavens. If we were on Gliese 67c, I think we would have 2 suns and 4 moons. So he would have to have put 6 lights there, but you wouldn't be able to see the stars because the sun's always shining. So that perspective would be vastly different, and maybe some religious texts wouldn't adhere to those humans anymore. The more interesting question is, will salvation still work in outer space? But that is something for another conference, I think.
Professor Papagiannis would like to say something.
Yes, thank you very much. Very short comment on the last two speakers. First of all, I think we need to establish what God is. I mean, we might be able to define God depending on our religion, the Judaism, the Hebrew, the Christians, the Muslims, Hindus, and so on. But when it comes to artificial intelligence, I think that the definition might not be as clear in terms of that. To us, God is the divine, the superior creature, but to the created artificial intelligence, let's use the term robots or androids, we might be playing the role of God, because axiomatically, as Plato put in his Timaeus, the created is axiomatically inferior to the creator. And also regarding Mr. Valtemar's last comment, what if we find extraterrestrials? Well, maybe we will, but in this case, it will be easier to admit that it was God that created them as well. Because you mentioned the Bible, I think that the concept of continuity in the Bible lies in I'm not sure whether, I think it is the Bible, it's part of the Genesis, where it says, God saw what he created and it was all very good. I think this, but so he didn't, the author of the Genesis, he didn't put the word perfect. I think it was so as to give room for further continuation. I'm referring to, for our Greek speakers, είναι αυτό το σημείο που λέει και είδεν ο Θεός πάντα όσα επίσεν και ειδού καλά λίαν. Νομίζω ότι αυτό είναι, κάπως έτσι. Sorry, Mr. Valdemar just gave the Greek translation of the Genesis part. Okay, so thank you very much. It was just a comment.
But is the question religion or God, or how
Yes,
much spiritual we are nowadays? We are less and less spiritual. Philosophically speaking, we think less in a different way, day after day. We have less time, maybe, or desire, or the necessary education to be thinkers, to be more thinkers than we are now. I believe that the question is not there. I mean, if we're going to have less religion, if we find extraterrestrial creatures out there, but I mean, to think mechanically the question, religion or not, before that, I believe that there is the other question, spiritual or less or more spiritual, less thinkers, more technical questions every day. We people who serve the classical studies face every day on a daily basis with our students this problem, this issue. I mean, to be engaged with the way of thinking deeply, not practically only, technologically, materially, but to think in a more philosophical way in order to understand better ourselves. And of course, this would be another answer to the many questions about ancient Greek theater or modern theater, whether it reflects on the future or not, or less, since it doesn't matter. The most important thing is to say something deep inside us, to express ourselves in order to have a final catharsis. I don't find catharsis in our days. Not even the desire to have one. I mean, solutions only. But catharsis is different than solution, I believe. And there is Evangelia again who raised hand, I think.
Dr. Maritza would like to say something. Dr. Maritza has raised her hand.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you again. It's just some afterthoughts on what Mr. Valdemar and Professor Economidis have said. So the fact of meeting outer space entities and the fact of how we are going to react, I don't know if we just see the paradigm in this world, in this planet we are living. I was just thinking that it's going to be again of a matter of prevailing. What culture and what religion is going to prevail at that, at the outer space? Who is going to prevail? What nation, I mean nations coming from this world, is going to prevail against the other entities that we are going to meet in the near future. So, and then I just thought that after dealing with the prevailing, because I believe that this is going to take place, after dealing with prevailing, maybe we come again facing our own existence. How are we going to exist if we are at the phase, like Professor Economidis said, where we do not ideate like we do at this conference 3 days in a row. We ideate, we have a lot of ideation, philosophical discussions here going on, and this is great. But is it happening all around the world? Is it happening? Does man ideate that much? So it's going to be ready to keep like something very, very important, his own existence in the outer space when meeting and after prevailing. Are we going to be able to keep that as healthy as we may keep it here in this conference, because it's full of health, ideating and philosophically discussing. That is what I want to say.
Mr. Kosteletos.
I insist, just a few words. I insist we have to speak a global language, to speak in the global area. That is to say, when we say religion, what is the crux point, the unique point in religion? What has to do with religion? Religion is the God? Of course not, because there are religions that they have no God. There is no, this God creator is only in monotheistic religions in our close area. When we intend to foresight the future and speak a global language, we have to know that there are religions without God. There is no God in Buddhism, for instance. There is interdependent origination, like Heraclitus, it's the same thing. Heraclitus believes in God and says at the same time, this world, no God, there is no creator. God is a fire. That's all. So there are religions without God and religions with God, and God makes a religion. A religion is not God. What makes a religion is a way of being. We have the religious area, like the epistemological area. Now we have the technological area, or the mythical area, or the archaic magic area. There are constellations, different ways of thinking. So religion has no problem with God or with artificial intelligence. Maybe in some points, yes. The second point, when we enter the space, God has no problem, has nothing to do with this. It is not bothered, because God is a step beyond. It's looking at you, that you steer the space. So there is nothing to bother God in this sense. God is what I call the untraceable, is what you cannot be brought in language, is what is unspoken, God is the this? What is the other? God is not some person to only for the commands, like, or God something to put to like an actor, or like a strong power in nature, like the Greeks. But God is always the other. This is a new idea for God. So the God is always there as the other. And artificial intelligence can go its own way. Religion is a way of being and has nothing to do with God. So spirituality is a different thing and has nothing to do with religion. Spirituality is another issue to talk about. This for the moment.
So we understand that how difficult it is to upload all these ideas or approaches to artificial intelligence data, and to understand the algorithms, not only the text of the religions, but the living, the conscience. So it's very, now this time is, the artificial intelligence is quite primitive to approach the religion. Maybe the spirituality is easier, but religion or God is very primitive to understand or to give some examples. There are some scholars who wrote about the artificial intelligence called the apocalyptical artificial intelligence, that has created a lot of approaches understanding about this. For example, there is the Church of Artificial Intelligence. What means the Church? Is the Church with the ancient approach, the ancient Greek Athenian approach, a secular organization, or the Church the church was the Christianity approach, because the center of the church is Jesus Christ? How someone used the concept church, artificial intelligence church without Christ? There are a lot of questions, and my book is in Greek language, Artificial Intelligence and Men, Orthodox theological approaches. In these cases, my research about these questions, and we see the God, maybe if I want to conclude, we can see we approach the God with the secular concepts or the theological concepts. We can see the church with the secular way or with the spiritual or ecclesiastic traditional way. There are a lot of questions, but according to my understanding, it's for the future. If you want to have answers at the challenges, to respond to the challenges, we need collaboration, interdisciplinary, the collaboration with different science like theology and artificial intelligence, to collaborate and to research and to understand each other, not only the theology, but all the humanistic science. You need to adapt and to understand and to interpret the technology, and to work together for the new era. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Grekas. I have to say for all the people that we have to conclude. So I have to give the floor to Mr. Nikos Vagiakakos, who was the first moderator of the day. Nick, do you want to say something?
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. It was a very interesting session, actually, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, with so many differentiated things, all concluding in some of Mr. Kosteletos's and principles, the antithesis, the metron, the uniqueness, they were all like the mythos. How do we say it in English? I don't remember. The mythos of Ariadne.
The thread of
The
Ariadne.
thread, the thread of Ariadne penetrating all these issues. A very interesting issue, it was about the new leadership paradigm. The new leadership paradigm that we have to enter into, it has been very important. A shift in mentality, not living leadership as a top-down hierarchical structure, but rather bottoms up. I am responsible for my actions, my presence in the world, and leading a whole of life, a balanced life. That was very interesting. Also, Mr. Papagiannis's remarks and contributions spark my interest. I don't want to be specific and
Okay, thank you.
very
Nick.
interesting, very interesting. Humanity joined with technology. This is a new, correct? This is a new field, new thing. Thank you. I think.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Yeah.
Professor Economidis, you have the floor. Your last comment.
I'm so happy to participate. I'm so happy to talk and to hear, to listen, all these sometimes very different aspects of issues. But we talked about human reality, and we talked about the life here and there, conditions, history, art, theater, psychology, so many things. And but in order to do this, we had to have enough space, and we did have enough space. And I wish that we're going to have a third conference, Athens, calls Athens, in order to talk again. And of course, until that moment, to have the possibility of making new friends here over this round table, because this is a round table in the end, and to talk more, to analyze more, to think more, to participate more, to exchange ideas and opinions and knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stavros. Thank you, Professor Economidis. Professor Kalokerinos, would you like to say something?
For the whole day.
Yes, for the whole conference, for the whole day, for everything.
First for the third day, and then for the whole conference. I made some notes during the presentations today. So the session today was cultural internationalization. We had 16 lectures, plus the lecture by Dr. Thanasias from yesterday, who was not able to come yesterday. He had a girl, so we all give him our very best wishes. Most of our lectures were based on cultural internationalization. Space technology and science will affect the future of mankind. Good? Is this good or bad? Should we extend our activities to the universe? Are we going to destroy the universe just as we destroyed our planet? From the dawn of mankind to the rise of machines, this was a shock. Technology, nature, and humanity. What will be the effect of new discoveries to the future of mankind? Genetically upgraded man, my goodness. New biological and safety risks, new technologies foresighting the future. So we have to be ready for many things, many new things. And therefore, a new era for humanity is coming. We need new skills for future jobs. And we are at the beginning, maybe, of the fourth revolution. Is artificial intelligence servicing or threatening culture? Religious, ethical, and philosophical principles for space exploration and possible human habitation, if we are the only ones. We also had some very nice discussions about arts, ancient Athens, which verify our decision to Athens calls Athens. Positive psychology. We want to improve the human well-being, family and work relationships. It is becoming more and more important in our era. We investigate the 4+1 contemplations. We investigate historical democracy versus modern democracy. That was a very nice discussion. We should educate for the future, invest on future education. Greece is becoming a regional center for higher education. Yes, this is true. Is it possible for the Athenian history and background to help us meet successfully all demands of the future? Theater in a fast-changing world. Can the principles of ancient heroes of historical Athens guide us through our future? Everyday life is a theater. Eyelashes are the curtains. We change dresses all day. We are the actors. Every day we do the same performance. The birthplace of liberty, democracy, and values is Athens and Salamis. Modern world was built on values established a few thousand years ago. In my opening speech on Monday, I mentioned that the first conference we had, Management Creation, we had 6 thematic sessions: technology, society, health, environment, economy, and humanity. After the first international conference, which we had 3 days of conference, there were many questions. So we decided to devote this conference to 3 thematic sessions: sustainable development, cultural internationalization, climate crisis, and natural disasters. For me, this was a very interesting and helpful conference. We have answered some questions, but we now have new questions. Very briefly, are we capable to face our known or unknown future? Is artificial intelligence and machines going to compete with mankind? Arts like theater, poetry, etc. will help us in the technological era. What are the advantages and disadvantages of internationalization? Can we revive our planet and reduce disasters? Are we prepared for living in space settlements? Theology and artificial intelligence. So now we have new questions to answer, which became apparent from the second conference. So I think we should all sit down and think we are going to have the third conference, and you are welcome if you have any suggestions for our third international conference. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you very much for being here and all these 3 days.
Thank you, Professor Kalokerinos. May I
Thank you very
make
much.
may I make a last comment for your awareness? In our hands, we have a valuable product of knowledge based on experience, on your personal individual knowledge. And we hope we'll be able to exploit this and to offer this to the society.